Hi, my name is Dennis Riley, and I'd like to take a minute or two and talk about the gear bag and the obligations that we have as firefighters. And before I get into several obligations I think are very important, I'm not arguing, and I totally understand that our primary obligation is to provide critical services in a timely manner for people who call the fire department. That's not what this is about. What I would say to you is consider the other obligations that you have in terms of being a firefighter. You have an obligation to your family to do everything you can to manage the risk. You can't eliminate the risk, but you can certainly manage the risk that you're exposed to. You have an obligation to work your career and come out at the end healthy so you can enjoy the next chapter of your life. You can pay your family back for the sacrifices they've made to support you in your career. You have an obligation to the people that you work with to stay healthy so that they can come to your retirement party, not a funeral because you became victim to an occupational disease long before you were going to retire. And you have an obligation to your community and your organization to spend a long, healthy career gaining the experience, gaining the knowledge that you can only get from having time on the job. So you can pass that on to the personnel who are going to take your place when you finally leave the fire service. So those are the obligations that I think that you should consider. So in terms of your bag, use your gear bag when you transport your gear. When you get detailed to another station, when you have to travel distance to go to a conference or a seminar, don't put your gear in the back of your car and be exposed to what may be off-gassing from that gear. Don't expose your family to the products of combustion that are going to off-gas from your gear. If you're a chief officer, and you don't have a pickup truck where you can segregate your gear from the passenger compartment, maybe you want to think about putting your gear in a gear bag so that you're not exposed to all of the products that may be off-gassing from the gear. So I just ask you to take a few minutes, think about these things. Not any one obligation trumps the others. All those obligations are very important to us. And I think that you need to use some good common sense, use the information that's become available to us through research and decades of very smart people looking at these critical issues, and then using a simple tool like a gear bag to limit your exposure to some of the hazards that you may be exposed to. Now, with that being said, certainly we have to recognize the First Responder Center for Excellence and Fire Station Furniture, who have really stepped up to the plate to make these gear bags available to everybody. So that's what I have to say. Those are my thoughts. Take a few minutes and think about it. Make a good decision for yourself after you think about all the little factors that enter into this equation. So thanks for listening and have a good day.